What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another edition of the Sheehan Show. Me, Sean Sheehan, here on Sherdog.com. And today I'm back with my top 5 bets for the week in the world of mixed martial arts. And obviously we have the massive UFC 308 card coming up this weekend. We have the featherweight title unlock in the main event. Massive number one contender, more than likely, at middleweight in the co-main event. You could say the same about the light heavyweight. Fourth fight from the top, being a number one contender, and you know, Murphy against Ilia as well, probably not too far away from that as well. So the type of pay-per-view card that we can only dream of, but also if you're like me, and I think my American friends will probably agree as well, it's on earlier, so this is even better. So we have where's this on? It's on in Fight Island over in Abu Dhabi. So back to Yaz Island we go for another sojourn for the UFC. Before we get to all of that, though, let's look back at last week. And last week was a great betting week. Again, cannot complain about it at all. Obviously, we do 4 bets and we do the Flier. The Jake Hadley fight fell out. He ended up fighting, but he was fighting a different opponent, so that bet is struck. So we hit 3 bets. And 2 of them hit. One that didn't hit was AJ McKee, which, as you could probably guess, as an Irish man sitting here, I'm kind of happy that one didn't hit. And Paul Hughes won. As I said last week, I thought it was a 50-50 fight, and I was kind of betting the experience and the price more than anything else. But Paul Hughes showed that the experience meant nothing, and what a fucking performance! Shout out to Paul Hughes. What an absolute beast of a performance. I'll tell you what, you won't get a price like that again at Paul Hughes. So I hope you didn't take my advice last week, and I hope you bet it. The other 2 that hit, and I kind of gave you a double of the 2 of these as well, was Francis Ngannou and Chris Cyborg, and I bet on that double myself and made a bit out of it, and it wasn't not too bad. Ngannou was only minus 275. Chris Cyborg was plus 120, but when you put both of them together, they were actually more than plus 200. I think it was plus 207 or something like that for a double, and I did say that last week, so hopefully you hit on those 2. And then finally, we had a Flyer hit. Fluffy Hernandez wins by TKO KO at plus 525. So I saw my guy Aaron Brandstetter. He does, what does he call him? He does them dark throws, I think, and he's at like 3 of his last 6 or 7 or something like that. I finally hit 3 for the year, which is not great. But the other side of it, really happy. 82 of 156. As I said, last year and this year, aiming for that kind of 50%. Pretty much well over that now. So what have we? 18 and 56 would be 74. So 82 and 74. 82 right, 74 wrong. That's not too bad at all. I think most people probably be happy enough with that. So we'll try to keep it going this week. And let's get into that. So I'm going to give you my top 5 bets, 4 bets, the Flyer, but I'm also giving you the parlay this week. So the pay-per-view parlay that we attempt to do every month, apart from the one month we forgot it. we'll try to keep that going today. So let's get into it, and let's talk about UFC 308. And I'll be honest, the last let me just roll back here on my thing. The last pay-per-view, the event before it, I got 3 right. The event before that, I got 3 out of 4. I think 3 out of 4 after. After 307, I got 4 out of 4. Last week we did well. So the only week I've done badly in the last 2 months nearly, maybe 6 weeks, is that UFC 307 card. I don't think I did fantastically if I go back in and at the last pay-per-view. So I'm taking a bit of a different switch this time. Before, I think I was being too smart about it. I think I was, I think I was trying maybe too hard to pick out winners. This time I'm going to do what I always do and look at it and see what price sticks out to me. And as we always do, because there's a few more bets out there, try to get a few good price bets. So this week we're taking a few shots, right? We're taking a few shots here. I could very well, I'm doing it because I want to change tack from the last time, right? But I'll just give you a word of warning here. A word of warning. Be careful with these bets. Please bet responsibly. As always, bet responsibly. But look at these bets. Think about them. And I've decided to give some better prices this week because we had such a good week last week. Look into this a little bit more. Look at the stats a little bit more, but also the feel. When I feel, is that the bet that should be placed? I see a good price, I'll go for it. So with that in mind, this is I think this is probably my all bets are risky ones, but I think this is the riskiest one because it's my only straight up bet, and it could go very, very badly, right? So, bet number one, I'm going for Armen Petrosyan, and he's at plus 140. Now, let me just make sure that is the correct price for you. Yes, still plus 140. I was doing these this morning, just recording here, and he's fighting Sherdog, right? So, I kind of have two reasons for giving you this. Now, a lot of people look at this and go, Shawnee, what are you talking about? Petrosyan's 9-3, Sherdog's 14-0. He's on a run. Petrosyan lost last time out, got taken down and submitted by Rodolfo Vieira. He was taken down by Bahalio. He's not an amazing fighter, and Sherdog has been talked about as the next big thing. And you know what? I think this is your classic underrated, overrated fight, right? Now, that doesn't mean necessarily Petrosyan is going to win, but there is something I like about Petrosyan. I just think he's one of those guys, and again, there's two things with Petrosyan, right? First thing is if he shows up, and second thing is if he doesn't show up. Sometimes, some days, and maybe it's not necessarily him showing up, but when he's at his best, he is really, really, really good. But then some days it just doesn't go his way. Now, there is obviously the possibility with Sherdog, the way he's an all-around fighter. I don't think he's the most amazing wrestler. Now, is he going to take him down and beat him on the ground? It obviously could happen, but I think he's more of kind of a well-rounded guy than your old school, pull a guy down and wrestle him out of it. When you're looking at the kind of the old Russian Dagestani fighter, I see his style is down here as Lethway, which would, we know that style is an all-around type of style, and I think that's the type of fighter he is. If you get into that sort of matchup with Petrosyan, and you don't immediately take him down, or you give him chances, and you let the fight out in the feed for a while. The reason I'm betting on him here is, if that rhythm is allowed with Petrosyan, unlike the opponents recently, which is Nzechukwu, Tricoli, even Bruno Silva, his three opponents in the UFC, I think Petrosyan will make you pay. If you let Petrosyan fight the way he fights for the first 3 minutes of the fight, Petrosyan wins that fight, I think, because his striking is very good. He's not he can hit you and he can knock you out, obviously, but he's one of those guys. He's kind of sneakily good. Again, underrated versus overrated. Not to say Sherdog won't be very, very good in the future. He's not on his way. Absolutely, I wouldn't say that at all. But at the moment, I think Petrosyan, if he gets the head up on him, if he can keep the fight on the feet for a while, I think this could be looking at a very, very, very good price here. And you look at it and you see. It's one of those ones you look at and you see the price kind of stick out. You see Petrosyan, or you see Sherdog someplace at minus 175. I think he was even, let me just check here again. He was minus 250 when this started. So there has been some smart money coming in on Petrosyan. So I like it. I still think he's a good enough price. If it was any lower than plus 140, would I go after it? Maybe not. But I do like Petrosyan in this fight. I think he can cause an upset against Sherdog. And I'll tell you what, if Sherdog does win this fight, I think he actually is on the right, he's on the right side of the mountain, let's say. He's climbing that mountain in the right way. But we'll see. So bet one, Petrosyan. Right. Bet number two, I think this is one of those bets where I looked at who I think is going to win, wasn't the greatest price, and I looked into how I think they're going to win next. And it gave me an interesting price. So the bet I'm going for is Lerone Murphy to win by decision at minus 127 against Dan Ige. So the straight up price is Murphy minus 360. Sorry, minus 260. Started out at minus 170 and has gotten all the way out. So when someone starts at minus 170 and goes all the way out, where's the smart money going there? I think we all know that it's going towards Murphy. I look at the recent records of both of these guys, and it's hard to look past Barboza, Culibao, Santos for Murphy, and see, he won by decision, won by decision, won by decision. Okay, he knocked out Armen Petrosyan fight before that. He won by decision. Dan Ige has gone to the decision 15 times in his 26 fight career. His last 2 losses in a row have both been by decision. He went to decision. 4 of his last fights, 5 fights have been by decision. Let's just run through his last few fights: decision, knockout, decision, knockout, decision. Lots of decisions in there, and even before that, he had 3 or 4 decisions in a row. Again, going back in 2020, all those fights going to decision. So a lot of decisions on the record. I think Lerone Murphy, having beaten Edson Barboza last time out, having beaten Josh Culibao, I suppose, to get in towards the top 50, and obviously Barboza will put you in there. You're fighting Dan Ige, who I don't have the rankings in front of me, but I can pull them up here in a second. But let's see where Dan Ige is. Let's guess. I'm going to guess Dan Ige is ranked number 11. No, he's 14. Actually, he's behind Murphy in the rankings. Murphy is 12, which I suppose does actually make a bit of sense. But anyway, you beat Dan Ige, now maybe you're staying the same, but maybe you're moving a little bit forward depending on what happens around you. This is a fight, if you're Lerone Murphy, that I don't think you can lose it. Right? Well, that you can't lose any fight, but in the grand scheme of things, when you're moving up the division, it's like when Ian Gary fought, let's say, Neil Magny, or he's obviously going to fight Jeff Neal. When you fight that kind of guy in the division, there's guys like that, the Dan Iges, the Rob Fonts, the Manel, not Manel, who's the guy I was looking at there, Alex Perez in that division. You fight your Dan Hookers, you fight your Jeff Neals, as I mentioned. You fight your Roman Delidzes or Brendan Allens, or you fight your Volkan Ozdemir, the perfect example, or your Sergey Spivaks at heavyweight. You fight those lads. You just have to get through them. You just have to get through that fight. And I think for Lerone Murphy, I think he's a more well-rounded fighter than Dan Ige. Although I have a lot of respect for Dan Ige. I think he's a very, very good fighter as well. At 33 years of age for Lerone, funnily enough, he's the same age as Dan Ige, and you'd think he's about 10 years younger for some reason. But it is one of those fights. It is kind of the young dog against the guy who's been around for a good while, even though the ages don't suggest that. But that's more of like the feel towards the fight. I think in the fight itself, I think what Murphy has shown over the last while is he is, and this is more unusual maybe than you think. He's able to out-wrestle people and he's able to out-box people, right? Or outstrike people. And when you're fighting someone like Dan Ige, who is a very good, obviously a very good boxer and a very good striker and has very good cardio as well. And we saw it, it was Rob Font, wasn't it, last week? I always mix up them two, but for good reason. To me, they're similar enough fighters. They always have the ability to beat you. They always have the ability to stick in there. Always have the ability to make it tough. And that's why I think this fight is going to a decision. Obviously, the stats bear it out. A lot of them. I think Ige will lose. Ige losses 8. Ige decision losses 8. 100% of his losses have gone to a decision, and 50% of Lerone Murphy's wins have gone to decision. He's gone to, obviously, he had a draw as well. There's a lot of stats to back it up. But I think Ige's ability to stick in there against someone like Lerone Murphy, even if he's losing, his ability to adjust and maybe win a second round or win a third round, I think will keep him in it. And the reason this fight will go to a draw, even though I think Murphy is probably better in every area. So love that bet, to be honest. -127. I think that's a pretty good price. Even if that maybe it might come in a little bit, it might get closer to even money around that. Like that bet. Love it as a decision. Right, let's get to I suppose we're getting to the top 4 fights here. That's number 3, and the other 3 bets from the top 3 fights, the other top 3 fights in UFC 308. And let's go to the main event next. And the bet I'm going for here is Ilia Topuria to win by decision at +255. Now again, this is very much, I looked through the bets, studied them an awful lot, and you gave me a price here that just stuck out to me, right? And this is one of those prices. And actually, let me just check here. The next bet as well. There's another price that I didn't go for, but we'll talk about it in a second. But in this is one, right? The fight to go to decision is a better price because of the record of Ilia Topuria. Now I'm going against what I said in the last one. I used his Sherdog record in the last one to prove why I'm betting on it. I'm almost doing the opposite here, right? So 15 wins for Ilia Topuria, only 2 decisions. One was against Josh Emmett 2 fights ago. And the other one was against Yusuf Zalal in 2020, his first fight into the UFC. So wouldn't pay too much attention into that. But other than that, knockouts, submissions, mostly knockouts. Actually mostly submissions. Five knockouts, 8 submissions, but mostly knockouts in his UFC tender. He did submit Bryce Mitchell, but he did knock out obviously Volkanovski, Herbert, Ryan Hall, and Damon Jackson. But so there's two parts of this. The difference is one part, and what happened in his last fight is the other part. He knocked out Volkanovski, right? Let's play a bit of MMA maths here. Volkanovski beat Holloway 3 times. He's fighting Holloway here. What's going to happen? He's going to knock out Holloway. And he very well might. He very, very well might. Holloway's taken a lot of damage down through the years. He's back down, cutting weight again. I don't think he's looked amazing in fight week, to be honest. So, there is part of that. But the other part of it is, okay, the Volkanovski part. I think if he had won against Volkanovski in the 5th round, maybe finished him or submitted him, or the fight had gone to a decision, we wouldn't be talking about this going to decision at plus 225, 255. Sorry, we'd be talking about this at maybe plus 155 for him to win by a decision. We look at the Murphy one; it's minus 127. I think it'd be better than that, but as I said, I don't think it'd be over plus 200. Right, so that result to me has altered the betting. But I'll tell you what I always say here, and I've stood by this an awful lot, and it's turned out to be true an awful lot as well. When guys get to a level, right, where they've never fought before, and this isn't necessarily the case here, but go with me for a second. When you're fighting now 5-round fights, and he's fought a couple of them before, but the Emmett one went to decision, so this actually goes to this argument. You fight a 5-round pace. You don't go all out. You take it maybe a little bit more easy. You have to keep that gas in there. You adjust your game, as does your opponent, right? And it leads at the high, and also you're fighting a better guy. So it leads to more difficulty in finishing a guy and less intuitive first round knockout and going straight for him type of thing, because it's kind of trained out of you a little bit. And first time guys going to 5 rounds, as happened with him against Emmett, usually does go to, not usually goes to a decision, but a lot of time goes to a decision. Usually guys, when they get to a very, very high level, they go to a decision. Now, he didn't against Volkanovski, so as I said, that adjusts the price, and now he's coming in here against Holloway, who's lost to Volkanovski, again an adjustment to the price. You look at Holloway then, 7 losses, 0 knockouts, 1 submission. Okay, Ilia has a lot of submissions, but earlier on in his career, only 1 in the last, 7 or 8 fights. So it's 6 decision losses. Holloway has won decision 12 times. That's 18 decisions in his career. That's a whole lot of fights going to a decision. So again, we're looking at it from the Holloway side. It's it's more applicable maybe to a decision, even though his last 2 fights have been by a knockout. Before that, he had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 fights in a row, all went to a decision. All right, so there's an awful lot there. Won some of them, lost some of them. What was he, 4-4 in that stretch ish? I think it might be 9 even. Is it? Let me count again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. No, 8. Yeah, and he did go 4-4. So it's at that point, right? So I think the fight is going to a decision. Right, going to go to a decision. Who do I think is going to win? I think Topuria. I know a lot of people are picking Holloway this week, and I suppose you can't ignore what happened in the Gaethje fight, but also, can you ignore the fact that Holloway was bossed around by Volkanovski last time out, and Volkanovski was basically destroyed by Topuria. Topuria is so good, and even I don't want to play horses for courses. I don't want to play MMA math here, but I just want to play the Topuria is really good card. From the first time I saw him, even after that, that Jai Herbert fight. I know a lot of people, might be saying, Sean, we're talking about Jai Herbert's a really good fighter and a really good boxer. And, if you go back and watch that fight, he almost actually knocked Topuria out. But the fact that Topuria came back, he showed that to come back. But the fact that he knocked him out, And, you know, he came back to kind of boss that fight for a while just before that. Told me an awful lot about him. He's such a good fighter, and I picked him, and I think I picked him to knock out Volkanovski, if I'm not mistaken, as well. That's how much I think about him. I've said Volkanovski, I think, is maybe the second best fighter of all time. Right? Maybe not the greatest, but after Demetrius Johnson, I think Volkanovski is right up there, GSP and others as well, obviously in the discussion, but I've that much time for Volkanovski. When a guy beats him the way Topuria did, I just think it's an awful lot. Now, why do I think Max will be able to stay out and go to a decision? That's the part we're taking a bit of a punt on from me. I don't have a massive explanation behind that apart from the stats and stuff I just gave you. But look, Max is tough, right? He doesn't get finished, as I said. Look, we went through the stats a minute ago. He doesn't get finished very often, once in his career. And how many fights? 33 fights. Who was the one person to finish him? Let's see who it was. It wasn't McGregor. That fight went to a decision. It was Dustin Poirier, in fact, back in 2012 with an arm triangle submission. So will it be, the first time in 12 years he's ever been finished, the first time ever he's been knocked out? I like this one to go decision. I like Topuria to win. I think he'll probably win, 4 rounds to 1 or something like that. So there you are. Bet number 30 of the week. Topuria wins by decision plus 255. The next bet is also a pretty good price, and it's plus 225, and I'm going with Ankalaev to win by TKO KO. Right now, I had to talk myself out of this a little bit of another bet because I sometimes I like firsts in mixed martial arts, right? And okay, think about this, right? Ankalaev, I think a lot of people would agree he should be fighting Alex Pereira right now. Okay, a lot of people think he should have fought him instead of Khalil Rountree, right? I don't think many people disagree with that. And what's the reason, right? And not just what's the reason why he should fight him, but what's the reason people think he could win or it'd be very competitive? Because I think a lot of people think Ankalaev could take him down, very good on the ground, and maybe take him out on the ground, right? Okay. So what I had to talk myself out of here was Ankalaev winning by submission. And you know what? Ankalaev has never won a fight by submission. He's actually lost more fights than he's won by submission. Rakic, not biggest submission artist either, one win, one loss by submission. So I talked myself out of that, right? So I'm talking here about a bet I'm not talking about, but that bet, let me just find the price here. I was really intrigued, and the reason I was really intrigued was this price here I'm about to give you. Ankalaev wins by submission. One place has a plus 2,000. Could it be the first ever submission win? Like I had to talk about that price, but anyway, I talked myself out of it. Maybe if I just talked you into it, we don't know. But plus 225 for the knockout. And again, let's go to the stats. 10 knockouts in his 18 wins, 8 decisions. There is a few in there, no doubt about it. Half of Rakic's losses have been by knockout. His last 2 fights in a row, he's lost by knockout to Prochazka and Blachowicz. He's only fought those 2 fights in the last 3 years. He's a massive, big guy, very talented. I really like Rakic, but it feels like it's Ankalaev's time right now. It feels like Ankalaev, even though his last few fights have been a bit weird. He knocked out Johnny Walker, and we know he did Johnny Walker fight before that. He had the draw, but he knocked out Anthony Smith, went to a few decisions before that. I feel like he needs a big finish here, and the submission. But I think the knockout. I think he's just gonna try to pull Rakic to the ground and just beat him up. And I feel like he knows that. He knows he can't be. It's the blanket wrestler. This is why they think he can be Pereira. He's gonna Johnny Eblin him out of it, to quote Conor McGregor. And all loads of respect to Johnny Eblin. I like Johnny. I'm only joking, but I think he will know that. I think what the UFC have done over the last few years, they've basically, I was going to say brainwash, but it's not brainwash because it's actually it's factual. But they have forced people almost into being more exciting, and you can decide whether that's a good thing or a bad thing by the way they matchmake, by the way they cut people, by the way they don't give people opportunities. Dana White almost respects Khalil Rountree more for getting the headbed off him than he does for Ankalaev maybe winning. So if you're someone like Ankalaev, you're kind of looking at rackets here and thinking, I have to get this guy out of here. And I think that plays a part in it here. Can he take him down? I think he can. Can he get him out of there? Plus 225. I think so. Right. The next bet, we're on to the Flier. Not the biggest Flier in the world, but I've given you a lot of good prices there. So the Flier this week is only plus 330, but it's not too bad. I'm going again, bit of a prop bet here. Chimaev to win by decision over Whittaker, plus 330. Again, this is two very, very good guys here. Two, two lads who, and a lot of people, let's just look at the straight up prices of this one. Plus 200 for Whittaker, minus 245 for Chimaev. Whittaker up, the biggest price, plus 210. So if this fight had happened 3 years ago or whatever, 2 years ago, whatever it might have been, even though, Whittaker, he might have been a champion at the time, or I think this probably would have been plus 400 for Whittaker. It would have been a wholly different sort of price and a sort of argument here. And I think the bet, there's no fools, there's no hungry bettors out there. They know this is a closer fight now than it was back then. For Chimaev, we're talking about this fight going to a decision. 2 of his last 3 fights have gone to decision against Usman and Burns. Those are by far the 2 best fighters he's fought. He's finished Holland, Li Jinglian, Reese McKee, Gerald Mercer, John Phillips. But the 2 very good guys he has fought, he has gone to a decision against both of them. Both had to come through early, but both did get to a decision. The Usman was a majority decision as well. And to be honest, I don't have too much analysis here other than that. I think it'll be close. I think Whittaker is used to fighting against guys like Chimaev. Like, a lot of people are used to maybe fighting a dynamic striker. A lot of people are used to fighting a dynamic wrestler. But not everyone's used to fighting both. Robert Whittaker's been in there against Adesanya. He's been in there against Till and Cannonier, guys who can strike. But then he's been in there with Yoel Romero and beat him twice. He's been in there with Jacare and beat him. Derek Brunson and Uriah Hall, a very good striker, obviously, as well. And Wonderboy and many more. He's used to the style, right? He won't be afraid of Chimaev. There's some people that will be. It was like Larissa Pacheco last week. Some people are afraid of Cyborg. She wasn't. Now, she still didn't win, but she didn't get beaten the way most people get beaten, And I think that will be the case here. And I think that's why it'll go to decision. Now, who do I fancy to win? I'd probably picking Chimaev to win. But I love this bet. Chimaev by decision at plus 330. Obviously. Oh yeah, and it's just for this one to go to a decision. This is not Chimaev doing. Let me just double check that's correct. It is correct. Yes, it is plus 330. Let's see what Chimaev to win by decision is, because I might switch over to that. Let's see. Chimaev wins by decision. Oh, plus 8. Oh, it's plus 850. Chimaev. Okay, I'm switching. Never mind all that. Well, I still stand by it. I'm switching. Oh God, I'm after ruining my computer here. What happened? Some stuff is after coming up. Anyway, I retrieved it. Plus 850. That's the bet. Plus 850. Chimaev wins by decision. Right. What a price that is. What a price that is. Let me just check that again. Chimaev wins inside the distance, minus 160. Chimaev wins by decision, plus 850. Plus 600 in other places, plus 650. I'm seeing it here. I always take the best price, kill me for it, but I do. Love that bet. Right, so those are the top 5 bets. And let's look at the parlay here. We'll run through it pretty quickly because I've talked about most of these fights already. So the parlay, not as big this time, but, plus 218 parlay. I'm going for Topuria, Chimaev, Murphy, and I'm going for Kennedy Nzechukwu, who's fighting Charles Barnett. Obviously, we talked about the Topuria, who I think he'll win. Just talked about Chimaev, talked about Murphy. Nzechukwu was a big price there, minus 675. I just think he's going to be too much, especially early for Charles. That Charles Flier, I think he's like plus 450 or plus 500 or something. Maybe not the world. I do like Charles Reed, but anyway, don't let me talk myself out of it. But plus 218, that is the parlay for this week. And any more bets? Let's just run quickly through here. Okay, we'll run through all the prices for 208. Topuria, best price minus 230. Holloway, plus 220. The pick there is obviously Topuria. Chimaev is the pick at minus 245. Whittaker, plus 210 best price. Daniga plus 220, minus 260 for Murphy, who's the pick. Alexander Rakic plus 300 against Ankalaev, minus 350 best price. Obviously Ankalaev is a pick there. I'm picking Petrosyan, minus 140 best price, and Shara is minus 160. Jeff Neal is fighting Rafael Dos Anjos. This was one I really looked at here. Dos Anjos plus 250. I know Dos Anjos isn't what he used to be, but Jeff Neal around minus 300. I'll be honest, I like that Dos Anjos price. I really like that Dos Anjos price. I think that'll be a close fight. Let's see what it is to go to a decision. Minus 135. Love that. Love that price for it to go to a decision. What price is Dos Anjos to win the decision? Let's have a look at it here. Dos Anjos wins by decision. Plus 500. Wow. There's some money to be made here, lads, I reckon. Rebecca, Oral By, close enough there. Oral By is a favourite. I do like it. I like Rebecca as well, though. I like Rebecca, but Oral By at minus 300 is definitely the pick there. Abus against Ferreira. I don't know. I still don't know about Abus. He's good and he's bad. He's the favourite, minus 135. Probably just about picking him there. Barnett is best price, plus 525. Kennedy is actually a little bit better price than I looked at it this morning. I mean, but I love, like you're fucking an auction or something. Minus 625. So that parlay would be a little bit better than I just gave you there. Like Basharat over Hugo, he's minus 700. Bruno Silva against Nurdayev. Nurdayev is the favourite there. I do like him. And Carlos Miranda is coming in against Fakhretdinov and short notice. I've watched a lot of him in PFL. You know, he's beaten some good guys. Plus 220. I think the short notice might be the issue, but I do like Fakhretdinov as well. I probably would pick Fakhretdinov at minus 250. And then the last fight is Aslan. How can I protect you in this? How can I protect you in this crazy world? Against Rafael Kerquerera. I don't know much about either of them, I'll be honest. Even money. I'm going to pick Aslan because I like his name. All right, everyone. Let's recap the 5 bets. Petrosyan plus 140, minus 127 for Murphy by decision. Also by decision. Lots of decisions this week. Topuria plus 255. We're going for Ankalaev, get the knockout, plus 225. And plus 850. We change it up. Chimaev wins by decision. Thank you everybody for tuning in. Leave your bet in the comment section below. What are you betting on? Leave the bet, leave the price. We'll talk about it next week. Please bet responsibly. And until then, good betting. Thank you for tuning in. Good luck.